The confidence conundrum. Have you ever met someone who seems utterly convinced of their brilliance, yet their actions or words betray a surprising lack of skill? Perhaps it's the coworker who boldly leads a project astray with unwavering certainty, or the social media pundit who debates experts with nothing but a quick Google search to back them up. This puzzling gap between self-assuredness and actual ability is not just a quirk of personality. It's a well-documented psychological phenomenon known as the Dunning-Kruger Effect. Named after the researchers who first identified it, this cognitive bias reveals why those with the least expertise often shout the loudest, while true masters of their craft tend to doubt themselves. In this engaging exploration, we'll dive into the origins of this effect, unpack its mechanisms, spotlight real-world examples, and, most crucially, learn how to spot and overcome it in ourselves. Buckle up for a journey through the fascinating landscape of human cognition, where confidence and competence don't always walk hand in hand. The birth of a breakthrough, a tale of lemon juice and robbery. The story of the Dunning-Kruger Effect begins with a bizarre crime that sounds like it was ripped from a comedy script. In 1995, a man named MacArthur Wheeler strolled into two Pittsburgh banks in broad daylight, face uncovered, and robbed them without a hint of disguise. When police arrested him later that night, Wheeler was stunned, insisting, "But I wore the juice." He had smeared lemon juice on his face, convinced it would render him invisible to security cameras, based on a misunderstanding that lemon juice could act as invisible ink. This astonishing display of misguided confidence caught the eye of psychologist David Dunning, who was intrigued by Wheeler's unshakable belief in his flawed plan. How could someone be so wrong, yet so certain? This question sparked a collaboration with graduate student Justin Kruger, leading to a groundbreaking 1999 study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology that would give the world a new lens on human behavior. The study that changed everything Dunning and Kruger set out to explore why people overestimate their abilities, particularly when they lack expertise. Their experiments tested participants in areas like humor, grammar, and logical reasoning, asking them to perform tasks and then estimate how well they did compared to others. The results were eye-opening. Those who scored in the lowest 25%, the least skilled, wildly overestimated their performance, believing they outperformed 62% of their peers when they had actually bested only 12%. Meanwhile, the top performers, those in the highest quartile, underestimated their abilities, assuming they were merely above average. This pattern revealed a profound truth. The less you know, the less you realize you don't know. As Dunning famously quipped, "The skills needed to produce a correct answer are the same skills needed to recognize a correct answer." This double whammy, lacking both competence and the ability to assess it, lies at the heart of the Dunning-Kruger Effect. The curve of confidence, from Mount Stupid to mastery. The Dunning-Kruger Effect isn't just about overconfidence. It's about the journey of learning and self-awareness. Researchers have mapped this journey as a curve that every learner navigates. Mount Stupid. Picture a beginner who's just dipped their toes into a new subject, say, coding or cooking. They learn a few basics and suddenly feel like experts, brimming with confidence despite their shallow knowledge. This is the peak of Mount Stupid, where a little knowledge feels like a lot, and the vast expanse of what's unknown remains invisible. The Valley of Despair. As learning continues, reality sets in. The novice discovers how much they don't know and their confidence plummets. This humbling phase can be discouraging, prompting some to quit. But it's also a crucial turning point where true growth begins for those who push through. The slope of enlightenment. With persistence, knowledge and skills grow, and confidence begins to rise again, now grounded in real competence. This gradual climb is marked by deliberate practice, feedback, and a deepening understanding of the field. The plateau of sustainability. At the top, experts achieve high competence paired with well-calibrated confidence. Interestingly, true experts often display a touch of underconfidence, aware of the complexities and unknowns in their domain. As physicist Richard Feynman once said, "I'd rather have questions that can't be answered than answers that might be wrong." This curve illustrates why novices overestimate themselves and why experts often doubt their mastery. It's all part of the learning process. Why does this happen? The psychological gears behind the effect. The Dunning-Kruger Effect isn't just a random quirk. It's driven by several cognitive and psychological mechanisms. Unknown unknowns. When you're new to a field, you don't know what you don't know. A beginner in chess might think they're strategic after learning a few moves, unaware of the vast strategies experts employ. This ignorance of the field's depth fuels overconfidence, confirmation bias. Once we believe we're skilled, we cherry-pick evidence to support that view. A novice coder might celebrate a working script while ignoring the bugs, blaming failures on bad luck or external factors. Illusory superiority. Humans naturally tend to rate themselves above average, a phenomenon called the above-average effect. Without clear feedback or comparisons, we assume we're better than most, even when we're not. Metacognitive blind spots. The Dunning-Kruger effect hinges on a lack of metacognition, the ability to think about your own thinking. If you lack the skills to perform well, you also lack the tools to evaluate your performance accurately. These mechanisms create a feedback loop where overconfidence persists, often resisting correction until a humbling experience or external feedback breaks through. Real-world ripples. The effect in action. The Dunning-Kruger effect isn't confined to lab studies. It shapes behavior across countless domains, with consequences ranging from amusing to alarming. Workplace woes. Ever worked with someone who overestimates their contribution? Studies show up to 95% of managers believe they're in the top half of their peer group, a mathematical impossibility. This overconfidence can lead to poor decisions, resistance to feedback, and workplace tension. Healthcare hazards. In medicine, overconfident novices can be dangerous. Research shows that medical students with the lowest skills often overestimate their diagnostic abilities, potentially leading to errors. Even experienced doctors who are overly certain may skip consulting resources, risking patient safety. Political polarization. In politics, those with surface-level knowledge of issues like climate change or economics often express the loudest opinions. This certainty drowns out nuanced expert voices, fueling divisive debates and simplistic solutions. Social media soapboxes. The internet amplifies the Dunning-Kruger effect by giving everyone a platform. A quick skim of an article can make someone feel like an expert, leading to viral posts that spread misinformation with confidence. As astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson noted, "The challenge is knowing enough to think you're right, but not enough to know you're wrong." These examples show how the effect permeates daily life, shaping decisions and discourse in ways we might not always notice. Cultural contexts. Does confidence look different around the world? Interestingly, The Dunning-Kruger effect isn't universal in its intensity. It varies across cultures. In Western societies, particularly in the US, confidence and self-promotion are celebrated, fostering an environment where overestimation thrives. Children are often taught to believe in themselves, which can lead to inflated self-assessments. In contrast, many East Asian cultures like Japan emphasize humility and self-criticism. Studies show Japanese students often rate themselves below average, countering the above-average effect seen in the West. Collectivist societies which prioritize group harmony may also dampen the effect by encouraging feedback and self-reflection. Yet, no culture is immune. The core issue, not knowing what you don't know, is a universal human limitation, though its expression varies. The digital age, a perfect storm for overconfidence. The internet has supercharged the Dunning-Kruger effect. With information at our fingertips, it's easy to gain a superficial understanding of any topic, creating an illusion of expertise. Social media platforms reward bold, confident posts, amplifying voices that may lack depth. Echo chambers and filter bubbles shield users from dissenting views, reinforcing overconfidence. The sheer volume of information also leads to knowledge fragmentation, pockets of facts without the context to make sense of them. As author Tom Nichols writes, the internet can make us feel our views are more widely shared and more correct than they actually are. Navigating this landscape requires digital literacy, knowing how to vet sources, distinguish credible information, and recognize the limits of a quick read. Overcoming the effect. Strategies for self-awareness. The trickiest part of the Dunning-Kruger effect is that it hides in plain sight. Those most affected are least likely to see it. So, how do we break free? Here are practical steps to cultivate humility and align confidence with competence. Seek honest feedback. Ask experts or peers for constructive criticism and listen without defensiveness. External perspectives can reveal blind spots your self-assessment misses. Embrace deliberate practice. Focus on your weaknesses with targeted practice and immediate feedback. For example, a writer might revise drafts with an editor's notes to sharpen their craft. Reflect on your thinking. Practice metacognition by regularly questioning your assumptions. Ask, what might I be missing? Or, could I be wrong here? Get comfortable with, I don't know. Admitting uncertainty isn't weakness. It's a sign of intellectual courage. It opens the door to learning and growth. Learn from experts. Study how true masters approach their field. Notice their humility, their openness to questions, and their respect for complexity. As philosopher Socrates said, I know that I know nothing. This mindset of epistemic humility is the antidote to the Dunning-Kruger trap. The bigger picture. Why it matters beyond individual growth. Understanding the Dunning-Kruger effect has societal stakes. In democracies, overconfident voters with limited knowledge can sway elections toward simplistic solutions. In organizations, rewarding confidence over competence can lead to poor leadership. In science and public health, dismissing expertise in favor of loud opinions can undermine progress, as seen during the COVID-19 pandemic. By fostering systems that value humility, reward expertise, and encourage critical thinking, we can mitigate these risks and build a culture that prizes learning over bravado. Conclusion. The path to wisdom. The Dunning-Kruger effect is more than a psychological curiosity. It's a mirror reflecting our human tendency to overestimate what we know. It reminds us that true wisdom lies not in unwavering certainty, but in embracing the unknown. By recognizing our limits, seeking feedback, and staying open to growth, we can climb the slope of enlightenment, balancing confidence with competence. In a world of loud voices and quick answers, this awareness is a superpower, guiding us toward deeper understanding and more meaningful contributions. So, the next time you feel a surge of certainty, pause and ask, "What don't I know?" That simple question might just be the first step toward true expertise.